to Cherie's world.
Courtney, I'm so excited for you to meet our next guest. Tommy's going to be here. He's got his cousin Michael, and they have come up with this company called SafePods now. I'm praying that SafePods is something that will be implemented in every school around the United States come 2025. It is a system to help our kids be safe in case of an active shooter. They're actually bulletproofing classrooms. So, without further ado, here goes Mr. Tommy and his cousin Michael.
Fever Magazine, a sexy yet sophisticated lifestyle magazine for the modern man and woman. Fever Magazine is available on newsstands nationwide and Amazon Kindle. Subscribe now for VIP access and rewards at fevermagazine.com.
Would you like to advertise on Cherie's World and have your product placed on Cherie's social media for the world to see? Email us now at cheriesworldpodcast@gmail.com for low introductory rates. Cherie's World Podcast. Get heard.
Welcome to Cherie's world.
Tommy, this is Courtney. Courtney, this is Tommy. Now, Tommy is here today. Dear man who I met several years ago, Tommy has invented the SafePod now. Tommy, can you explain to us exactly what the SafePod now is?
Absolutely. So I come from a correctional setting. We work with juveniles. After getting hurt on a job, I kind of actually said, you know what, it was kind of, this is after Sandy Hook had happened. I went to my business partner and my cousin as well, and I said, you know what, my knowledge, I said, we need to definitely be able to do something to stop all of the kind of the talk behind that's going on and actually do something that's going to be tangible to protect our kids. So that was when we started to talk with all of the people that it affected most. So teachers, students, administration, law enforcement, DHS, active shooter training and response. And that's when we actually came up with our staple product, which was our act protection pods. So, we were, as a commodity, space is always a commodity when it comes to teachers and space within the actual classroom setting itself. We wanted to be able to create something that was really on the proactive side. So we took all of their input, really, and we were able to develop a safe refuge that blends directly right into the classroom environment. That as soon as you hear that lockdown drill go, all of the teachers and students are able to get within the refuge and lock themselves down instead of the whole run, hide, and fight that they're teaching now. You're actually able to get into our SafePods and be completely protected by ballistic material. You have proprietary air filtration system against noxious gases, smoke, anything that if the perpetrator was trying to start a fire, if they were trying to do anything that was even more conducive to try and hurt students. We also do have a backup source of power that will run pretty much everything in up to anywhere between 10 to 8 hours. So your lighting, your communication. We do have an iPad in there as well with an interface that actually has our proprietary application that we're working with another gentleman, which is called Skywire Me, which is a mass notification app. That mass notification app will give crucial information to first responders to be able to not only show up within that 2 to 3 minute time period, but also be able to breach immediately as well. So we also have now, we've eliminated all those variables of run, hide, and fight. Well, right now, you and I both have children. We know how it is. We know how scary it is. Our children are fighting to get into closets right now. They're fighting to hide under desks. Well, now we've actually given them something tangible protection, military grade protection that's actually ballistic proof. So it will stop all small arms fire, rifle fire, fragment grenades, things of that nature as well. And it's non-intrusive to the classroom. So it blends directly within inside the classroom itself. After that, we developed what's called one of our newest systems, which is called the A.R.C system. It only takes up about a quarter of an inch of the actual classroom, and I can actually show that to you if you like, which is actually even a quicker lockdown situation, and it's even less intrusive. We looked at the Parkland incident of what happened, and Nicholas Cruz was able to do all of this heinous act by not even entering a classroom. He shot out the window that all classrooms have, stuck his firearm in, and shot. We looked at that incident and we said, we need to truly address this issue. So we created the A.R.C system. I will actually show it to you right now, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So my business partner, Michael, is actually going to show you. So if we happen to have that lockdown drill that goes off, you're going to say, okay, we initiate the Skywire Me app will automatically go off and let all administrators know that it is an active threat and it's going to lock down. So, okay.
One of the things that I'm mortified about, I had no idea that schools were doing lockdown drills. Like when I went to school, we had a fire drill and we had an earthquake drill because I was in California.
Right.
I just found out that kids are actually having active shooter drills in elementary school.
It's an unfortunate thing. It's causing a lot more trauma than it is actually helping and preparing these young kids for an actual active threat. The problem is that they're putting them in, as I stated earlier, in closets and under desks, and they're not providing any true tangible measures of protection. We look at this as we're failing our kids. We're failing our kids on the level of protection, and then we're failing our kids by traumatizing them even further.
Right.
And when they come home, and as you stated, Cherie, it's one of those things, like you said, you're mortified to understand, to know that your kids, this has almost become second nature to them, almost as it would be a fire drill.
Yeah.
And it's just it's unfortunate that we even had to start this company. The sad reality of it is that if we didn't, our kids would be left with nothing, and our kids would be left with nothing tangible. They wouldn't be left with anything that would make sure that you feel comfortable sending them to school. And we want to make sure that at the end of the day, your children come home just like anyone else's do. And that's the reality of what we do. And, if by talking to everybody that we did and doing our R&D and making sure that we did our due diligence, we wanted to make sure that this was the right thing to make sure that it was done right. It did not traumatize our kids, and we wanted to make sure that they're, again, making sure that they have something that's true for them to make sure that their protection is paramount above all.
Thank you.
So I'm actually going to turn the camera around, and Mike will actually show you. So you actually we're in our larger office here. So just as you would in a classroom setting, we have a larger environment. So you would have that active drill lockdown go down. Mike, as the administrator, would walk right over to the classroom door that all classrooms have. Right now, by that single motion, Michael has just locked down the entire classroom. So the entire encasement right there that's surrounding that window, the actual door, all around the door and all around the door encasement and on the walls that you see that he's pointing out right now are all ballistic material. So Once now he did that, now we have all of our children line up and then they crisscross applesauce right there. And it's non-intrusive, and they're completely protected behind military-grade ballistics now. So that active shooter actually has more of a chance of hurting himself than he does of anyone else. So in any active shooter drill, time is of the essence, and they want to do the maximum amount of damage in the minimal amount of time. So we looked at that, and we've been working with other agencies such as the FBI We've worked with agencies, large enforcement agencies such as the NYPD to get their input as well. And we wanted to make sure that we were having something that, again, was conducive of what they were training and what they're implementing towards inside best practices. Mike is actually going to go over our ACT protection pods now with you, and we'll go in a little bit deeper detail about that as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, Tommy was saying the beauty of the pods is we design them so they can be shipped. They're almost, for lack of a better term, like an IKEA product. They're very easy to assemble. The walls go up. You literally pull up. They're set inside each other, so you pull them up, screw the whole a couple of screws in, and you have 9 feet of wall up in about 3 minutes. So that's one of the hardest things in construction, because I come up from a construction background, is when you get something and you have to build it. Yeah. So we've taken out all the guesswork out of this. The doors are pre-hung. They're ADA accessible for handicap. That was a big thing for us. And everything is plug and play. That was very important. So Tommy was talking about our proprietary air filtration system. It's battery backup, air filtration, LED lighting, communication. That's a lot of wiring. So when this gets shipped out to the customer, the end user, they actually have pigtails. So after this whole thing is installed, they just pigtail the wires together, and it's that easy. So we tried to make things as simple as possible. And again, going another step further, as Tommy showed you, we even simplified it even more with the A.R.C system, because now you have a child in the classroom or any kind of setting, and in about 4 to 5 seconds, no matter how old the teacher is, she can be handicapped or he can be handicapped. They're physically sliding the door. It's very easy muscle memory, the slide in the door. And all the children that are already in the classroom, they're already protected. And even at their desks, they are sitting. But in a perfect world, they would just go against the wall there and sit down. So we really tried to cover our bases and play devil's advocate. And we offer a multitude of products for different situations.
Can you tell me what price point your products would start at?
Sure. So just to give you an idea, for the ACT protection pods themselves, if you were to go to, let's say, one of our competitors, they range anywhere they start off between $50,000 to $300,000 to see what we offer for apples to apples. Our beginning model starts off at $28,000. So we offer a superior product at a fraction of the price. The A.R.C system that Michael showed you, whereas the sliding of the door, we can accommodate everything when it comes to the actual window slide itself, the door encasement, and the wall panels itself, and outfit a classroom for about $8,900. Wow. So just to give you a comparison, that's about a quarter of what schools are already spending now on about a biannually basis. What schools are spending just, let's say, on a surveillance system, which only records the incident, is about $500,000 per school. That's the equivalent of putting 13 first-year teachers back to school again and back to work. So our company is very much two-pronged. We want to be able to offer a superior product at a lower price point, and we want to be able to stop the fiscal bleed for the taxpayers, because the taxpayers are taking the bigger brunt of this fiscally. And we want to invest that money that they're saving back into our children. We want to make sure that they're exceeding our needs and their needs. We want to make sure that they're getting the materials that they need, the technology that they need, the community outreach programs that they desperately need for the success of our young people. We don't know who the next Steve Jobs is. We don't know who is the next LeBron, or what he's going to be able to do for our communities and be able to build a school. We don't know who our next person who is going to change the world. But if we don't protect and nurture these children, we're failing them. And we're failing them miserably by doing this. We're averaging about an active shooter situation by about every other day. And that is astonishing when you come to think about that. And it's heart-wrenching when you think about what, as a parent, and I pause because it hurts.
Yeah, it does.
As a parent, knowing that These kids, they're nothing but pure innocence, and they're being targeted by these heinous acts that can be preventable. But we all have to be able to finally get up and say enough is enough. We have to finally stop saying, waiting on our elected officials to say, oh, it's guns, oh, it's mental health, it's this, it's that, and stop pointing the finger at each other and doing everything. No, it's us as parents and as those who have a voice. And I have somewhat of a platform, not like you, but for all of us to be able to come together and use any type of platform we can.
If I have it, you have it.
Cherie, you've always had a special place. You know that. You've always been great to me. My wife, she said to say hello. She loves you.
Hi to the baby too.
Yeah, he's coming. We got another one coming next week.
Congratulations.
So, yeah,
I'm sorry I'm over here being a big old puss, but like it hurts.
It does.
It hurts, and it's scary to think that all these innocent little kids are taking the brunt of some idiot.
It is, and it's up to us to finally say enough is enough. Yeah. And if we have the means, if we have the knowledge, if we have the mouth to get up there and the courage to speak against those or speak up for those that can't speak for themselves anymore because their lives were taken, their family were taken away from them, their communities have been affected. We look at all, and we think about when the situations happen, and we think about those lives, but we don't think about their parents, their brothers, their siblings, their cousins, the community at large that has been affected too. And it's a trickle down effect that people just don't really register, and they'll give their thoughts and their prayers, which is great. But the problem is that 2 weeks later they forget about it,
and it happens again.
And they'll wait until they have to offer their thoughts and prayers again, for it to be on their mind again, when it shouldn't be that way. We have. How many times did it take a fire to happen in a bank for them to put sprinkler systems so they could protect our money?
That's real.
Well, why can't we protect our children the same way by being proactive?
Or even look how fast they jumped on this vaping stuff. Vaping is killing, so we got to get rid of vaping. It's like they did that real quick.
Well, I mean, we know where that came from is because obviously that tapped in and affected the tobacco industry, and it was taking money out of the pockets of big people and big money and big corporations. So when you start taking money out of there, then it matters. That's when it matters to them. Not now, but there's no money in stopping active shooter situations because, we do this because we poured our heart and soul into this. We emptied out our own personal savings to make sure that we were able to go into R&D and develop these products and prototypes and make sure that they actually work, so that we could provide something for a safe future for our kids. And, we're not doing this for fame. We're not doing this for fortune. We're doing it because we want to make sure that this stops. Right now, we are facing a plague, and we don't even know it.
So tell me, and everybody else who's listening in Cherie's world, what can we, the people, do to help you to make sure that schools have your products? What can we do?
Just use your voice. Talk to your superintendents. Go to your board meetings. Go be a part of the school system. Show them where they're lacking and in their insecurities. When you go and pick up your child for that day, ring the buzzer and turn around. See if they ask for any ID, or if they just buzz you in, and point that out to these people. Okay. Point it out to the administration. Point it out to them and let them know that, I just snuck in your back door without anybody asking me for ID, or, I'm not asking anybody to get in trouble. Please don't mistake that.
Right.
But, point out the obvious to them. Point out that, how easy it is to be able to walk into their school, where their weak points are, and point out and say, well, what what was your fiscal year budget asking for this year for security? Because you're a taxpayer, you have every right to know. So if your taxpayers, let's say you live in a small community and they're asking for an absorbent amount of money, you know, $50, $60 million to outfit securities this year, well, where's that money going? You have every right to know.
I'm going to ask them.
And if it's just
him an email.
Absolutely. And if it's going into the same old, where it's, and we're not saying that, you know, schools shouldn't have security cameras and things like that, but if you look at every school that has had an active shooter situation, they've had the same things. They've had security cameras. They've had lock changeouts. They've had vestibules. They've had those things. So when you ask them, what are they doing differently? Oh, well, we hired another school resource officer, which we love. We think that's great. But is that enough to be able to say, 2 people can protect an entire population of a classroom, a school? I'm sorry. The answer is no. It's impossible to do so. So until we recognize that we have to be able to put something in each classroom that proactively protects and unifies emergency management protocols, then we will continue to be failing our children. So I would say that everyone get on the board, talk to the superintendent, you know, call us. Even if they don't buy our product, we will gladly help them find something that fits their needs and fits them to where, even if it's another product out there that does something similar, or, you know, maybe, I don't know. I mean, we've kind of taken up all of the intellectual property with our patents and things like that. But if it's something else that's going to help that district and help that school and to help address their needs and give you as a parent that peace of mind sending your children back to school again, then I will gladly get on the phone with them and help them for any given time. I don't care what time of day it is. You could call me. You have my personal cell phone.
I was going to say, how do they find you? Because we're going to put it up. Like when we put up the website, we're going to put up your contact information and everything as well.
Sure. You can always visit us directly on our website, which is www.safepodsnow.com. Or you could call the office number, which is area code 860-990-1810. You can reach anybody there, or you can even reach me directly. My extension is extension 4. I invite anybody to reach out and call me. We just need to be able to start the dialogue now to make sure that we're doing something to make sure that our children have an environment that's free of harm and get back to normal. That's the big thing. We need to make sure, and on the other end too, is that we need to let our teachers know that we support them and that we need to let them get back to being normal again and just teach. They don't need to be carrying firearms.
No.
Well, we don't, and that's the thing, is that we just don't know, when anybody's mental status is, and anybody is. And a teaching position is a stressful job as it is. They could be teaching for 20, 30 years. They could develop personal biases. They could be afraid. You just don't know. And if you look at social media over the past year, how many times have you and I seen a student overpower a teacher?
Yeah, scary.
I've seen it probably in the past month about 5 or 10 times.
Being a teacher,
and now
is terrifying.
if that student overpowers that teacher, you've just given that student the tools to become an active shooter.
Absolutely.
And now here's an even scarier thought. If we're in a high school and we have 4 or 5 kids who say, hey, guess what, Mike, at 9 o'clock, guess what we're going to do? We're going to become real buddy-buddy with our teachers, and we're going to say, hey, Mr. Smith, how you doing today? We overpower that teacher. You have 5 students now that have overpowered their teachers and have gotten those firearms all at 9 o'clock on the dot. And have you provided them with every tool necessary to do every harm possible to everyone in that environment? So they need to start to reevaluate that thinking of guns solve problems in arming teachers who are not law enforcement.
Right.
They have that job for one reason, and that's to teach.
Yep.
And we need to get back to that.
I agree.
We
100%.
definitely need to get back to that. You know, it's something that is extremely scary. You know, we need to be able to make sure that our children get back to just ground zero again, and make sure that they're not on high alert all the time, and making sure that our teachers are being paid what they need to, because again, you know, out west, you guys have seen an awful lot of this. You know, teachers have gone on strike, unions have gone on strike because of wages. Well, there's a reason for that. You know, when you have districts that are spending an exorbitant amount of money on that fiscal bleed that continues, well, we're trying to help solve that as well. You know, and it's a trickle-down effect. But most importantly, if we can protect our children, that's our priority number one. Everything else comes secondary, and it will fall into place. But we have to make sure that we use our voices as parents, as concerned. You don't even have to be a parent. You know, you just have to be concerned enough to say, you know what, it has to stop. I'm tired of turning on the news or even just picking up my smartphone and seeing just another tragedy here. You know, it could be, look at Las Vegas. You know, you can't even go out and have a good time
Right.
at a concert anymore. You can't go, you know, look at Pulse. You go to a nightclub. You want to have a good time out. It's incidents like this that are preventable, but you have to make security a priority in everything that you do in the world that we live in today. And once that starts to become a priority, then things will change. But until then, they will continue to happen. And that's the sad part.
Well, no, they're not going to continue to happen because you guys have come up with a way to stop it. I'm holding on to that one.
We sure have.
And I like that your product is not just for schools. I'm looking at your website. It's a great website. Churches, workplace, home. I like it. Great.
Thank you very much. We'll actually show you too. We have just another piece of literature here too for you. You could see it on the site, but as we do it, we have open houses here in our offices. So again, what we do is we try to make sure that we blend everything right directly into the environment. So you'll see we do have a smaller one of these units. Then it's actually called a den for our home application, but this is the next step up, the Commander, where it can go into your home and executive suite, things of that nature. You have ones that will go into lounges, larger ones that will go into casinos, hotels, resorts, things of that nature too. And our big thing is that we want to make sure that they blend into the environment and they're not institutionalized. You know, you don't get that institutionalized feel. You don't get that militarized feel, and making sure that, you know, you're going to be able to have something and a product that's going to make that feel for you, to make sure that you know it's there, but you only know it's there when you need to use it.
Right. And how much does something like that cost?
Those will actually start off at about $26,000, but again, that's about a third of the price of what our competitors are. They usually start off with almost with nothing in it, and a very low level of ballistic protection, starting off about $80,000. And ours are about anywhere between $26,000 to $28,000.
I'm sorry, but $26,000 to $28,000 is worth saving your family.
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm sorry,
and,
sir.
You know, it's just one of those things where you have to make the decision of what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about the decisions we make.
And like Tommy was saying, one of the great things is we just came back from New York City and spoke with some high-end consulting companies that they absolutely loved our products. And one of the big things is they love the fact that the A.R.C system that you saw that takes up a quarter inch of real estate, it's a once and done. So a lot of people sell you things in the hopes of, like, you have to do this in a year, you have to do this in a month. When you put that system up, it's done. So it doesn't have to be re-engineered, it doesn't have to be fixed. It'll probably outlive the school. So, and that's what he loved about it. And he also liked the fact that if you take different pieces from our safe room, like our filtration system from the safe room and those panels that are on the wall, he said, if you don't have the room for a safe room, say you're in a glass office space, the beautiful, now everybody wants to see through their office so you don't feel closed in, so everything is glass. He said, we can design two areas, like, the back part of the office and the front part of the office in a room. He goes, put your 1/4-inch panels up in a filtration system. He goes, so now if you have people working, you basically build a safe room on either end of the office. He goes, it doesn't take up any space. And he goes, you don't even know it's there. So we were very impressed. This gentleman does nothing but security consulting. So he saw the vision of this, but I was like, wow, you're absolutely right. But he just liked the fact that it's a once and done product. And when you put it up for $8,900, you just lock down a classroom. He said, I can't believe that. He goes, but it's amazing.
It is amazing. Thank you.
I mean, it's just one of those things. We can't thank you enough. I mean,
No.
it's people like you and that have the willingness and the open-mindedness and to be able to have us on and really spread the word and.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if there's ever a time that you guys want to come back, let me know. If there's something that you want me to specifically say, you got me.
I can't tell you how much that means, Cherie.
I'm serious.
You always got that's reciprocal. You know how that is.
I know. I'm going to be calling you next year because next year I think I'm going to be building my forever house and my baby is worth $26,000. So
absolutely,
and I'm gonna tell you something, Cuzzo. I don't know how to put stuff together, so I'm gonna be looking for you. Okay. I'm gonna be like, I'll order
take care of you. He'll
okay.
take the flight out. He'll definitely take the flight out.
Thank you. I was gonna say, I'll pay for it, but I don't know how to put that together.
I tell you, as a dad of 3 kids, man, who's in school, they go to school every day, and all these different community events and stuff. I'm just glad to see someone is that, because I know you say you guys have competition. I never heard of anything like this, so I'm just glad to see this. So, because it's the biggest fear I have.
It is. It's the biggest fear any parent really has, and obviously we had to do our due diligence when we say our competition, but a lot of the competitions out there, it's just those are the ones that are, for lack of better terms, they're strictly dealing with homes that are in the Hamptons, and they want to use quote unquote safe rooms as more of a novelty to show their friends or the people that are surrounding that. Hey, I just spent $100,000 on this or whatever it may be. We're looking at integrating them in within the classrooms, whether it be through the A.C.T protection pods or whether it be through the A.R.C system, to make sure that our children are really protected. Like you said, it is our biggest fear. It's a sad day when the safest place that our kids could be is turned into the most horrific place our kids could be.
Yep.
And but those fears that you have, they're warranted. Trust me, I hear them, and I hear them. Michael hears them, and that's what drives us every day to make sure that we do better. So when we do better, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to your districts, we're reaching out to your schools to make sure that we're going to provide them with the tools that they need to make sure that you can have peace of mind again, and that your kids don't feel the way that weight on their shoulders of, wow, how did that make me feel just hiding under a desk for a lockdown, a supposed lockdown drill? How did that make me feel? And we're just continually traumatizing our kids over and over and over again. I'm not going to mention the organization, but there was a recent controversial video out that just was released, and it was just terrible, and it just played on the fears of what we already know is there. We already know what happens during these incidents, and to use that to bring up fears and use fear as a motivating platform to push their agenda was just an extremely poor taste. And all it did was just put people, a little bit more sour taste in people's mouths about what they were doing. But again, it all really boils down to what we're going to do now as parents and as educators, or just anybody out there who is genuinely concerned that
Yeah.
this plague needs to stop.
So,
Because again, we can't even go see a movie without, fear,
no.
or looking and counting the exits and how fast or where we sit to where we can actually get out the quickest. That needs to stop. I mean, you look at all of the applications and how vulnerable we all are to when we step out of our own home.
And being in crowded places, I don't like it.
Yeah. And but the sad part about it is that you recognize it though. A lot of people are still in very much denial these days that, oh, it can't happen to us. I live in a great neighborhood. I took my family out of, we both grew up in Hartford. It was rough growing up for us. But if you look at where all these active shooter situations are happening, they're happening in the more affluent neighborhoods. You're absolutely right. And it's that mentality that is getting people extremely hurt. And we're losing lives at a rate that we just can't take back.
My wheels are totally turning, Tommy and Michael. I can't thank you enough for the systems that you guys have created. I can't thank you enough for your time in coming to talk to Cherie's World about it. I want to continue this conversation with you, Tommy, off because I'm gonna text you. I got a couple little ideas, and I want to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, we're always here for you, no matter what.
Likewise.
We're always here for you. We're always here for you, your husband, your children. No matter what, anybody, we're here for you. This is why we started this company.
You hear that, Courtney? We gonna bug them.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna tell
Courtney, we're here for you, man. It doesn't matter.
I'm definitely gonna talk to my my kids' school about that as well. I'm gonna show them this. I'm hopefully I would like for them to already have heard of you. But
if they haven't heard of you, we're gonna make sure that they all hear
you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. That means a lot. And we'd love for you if they do want us out there, we would want you along right there with us to obviously integrate the product, to make the introduction, and to say, what, you were the intricate piece that brought this to the district to make sure that not only your children were protected, but you were thinking of everybody else's children as well.
It's not just going to be me. I'm going to call on Cherie's World. And that means everybody that grew up with me, we're all parents. I need all of them to join this life and introduce their schools to it. And so that's why I kind of want to talk to you off, because I'm going to call on every listener, everybody I know, every follower on social media. This is where I need to use my friendships with the world and ask them to all help our children.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much, Cherie. I can't tell you how much that means to us and to our mission. And
I'm a mommy.
Like I said, we've been doing this. We've been doing this for years now. And when we start to talk about it in deeper detail like this, like we're doing now to you, we still get choked up, because again, this is what we live and we breathe, and we want to make sure that this is passed on to every child out there to make sure that their futures are bright ones. And that's our biggest success, knowing that the children and their future is safe, that they get to go home to hug you, they get to go home to kiss you, they get to go home, and at night when you're tucking them in and reading them a bedtime story, you have no fears the day after sending them to school again. That's what makes us know that we've succeeded in this world. That's all that matters to us. And that's all that's going to continue to matter to us.
I appreciate that as mama. Do I have permission to use your site on the magazine that I work for and on my podcast as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. 100%.
Thank you so much.
You know, Cherie, you have,
I have to ask. I have a boss who might be like, they want to sue. I'll be like, wait, let me call something.
No.
Okay.
No, we would never do that. We would never do that. We're all on the same page. We just want one thing. We just want one thing, and that's the greater good. That's the greater good. That's all we want.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you for taking time to do this with us. This is fantastic.
Thank you for doing everything that you're doing. Courtney, thank you for taking the time out today. Like I said, it means the world to us for you guys to even just realize that what we're doing, even a compliment. Hey,
give your site, give your website again, because I'm steady looking at it, man. It's a real good website, man.
Thank you very much. It's www.safe, SafePods, PODS, now, NOW.com. So SafePodsNow.com.
And again, you guys on Instagram or something where they can also reach out to you there?
Yep. So it's SafePods right on Instagram, SafePods right on Twitter as well. You can locate us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're always on social media. We always have somebody that will get back to you for any type of messaging, inquiries. Your best way to inquire us is definitely go to the site. All the emails generated through there will come directly to myself, Michael, one of our assistants. One of our assistants will get back to you more than likely. And if you ask to get directly to me, I will personally answer. I will personally reach out to you. Mike will personally reach out to you. Whoever you need to reach out to you at any time, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if you want us to reach out to you at 9 o'clock on your time. It doesn't matter. We will reach out to you. It doesn't matter. It's an important. This couldn't be any more important. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we don't sleep, so you guys can.
Nice. Great slogan.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. And Tommy, I'm about to hit you right now and just ask you a couple questions.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Cherie's world.